I don't think it's overstating to say it was the basketball capital of America.
One of the television networks, and I'm not positive, but I think it was USA, they had the rights to the NBA draft. And because all of these draftable players were right there in Bloomington, they called my television station and asked if we could set up some sort of a satellite hookup the day of the draft. So we did. So Coach Knight allowed a bunch of these players, all the guys that were draft eligible or at least were coming out, to come to the Bloomington studio where I worked. And they would have to stand around or sit around all afternoon waiting for their names to be called. So that meant that about 10 of the best college basketball players were all just hanging around in the lobby of the station where I worked. I went in and set up the satellite interviews to make sure everything was set, and one by one the guys' names would be called. They would go into the studio and sit in front of a camera. We had a hookup with the network's headquarters so they could ask them questions and all that. And the rest of the time, the guys had nothing to do. So I found myself just chatting with all of these basketball players. My office was just a few feet away from the main lobby. And so at one point, after I had gone in to do something, I came back, and in my office, there were three people. Leon Wood, Patrick Ewing, and Michael Jordan are all sitting in my office. So I came in and I said, "Excuse me, fellas, do you mind if I have a seat?" And they said, oh, we're sorry, we didn't. I said, no, you can just sit here and chill. And so we sat there for a little bit, and I pretended to do a little bit of work, and then we just sort of struck up a conversation. And Ewing hardly said anything. He was very quiet. Michael was very quiet. Through the whole process, he seemed really shy. Now, Leon Wood talked enough for everyone. He had noticed that Charles Barkley, who had failed to make the Olympic team, he saw that Barkley had been drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. Leon Wood got drafted by the 76ers in the second round, and he had already done the calculations about the salary cap. So he was upset because he kept saying, "Oh, Charles is going to take all their money. Darn it, they're not going to have any money left for me." So it was so cool to sit there. Sadly, Michael wasn't really involved in wanting to chat with people and all that. Some of the guys were, like Tim McCormick, who didn't make the final cut from Michigan, was really, really friendly to me. I felt like we got to be pretty good friends. He even said he wanted to contact me later and all that. A couple of the other guys, like Vern Fleming, who later played for the Pacers, really, really good guy. Alvin was always really friendly, and I followed his pro career, and he was a terrific player. But the experience was just so amazing to see these great college basketball players. I was a big fan of college basketball in the 80s, so almost all the guys that came in were guys that I was familiar with and had seen them play. Obviously, the big star was Michael Jordan.
Maybe one of the great all-time stories with Jordan in the Olympics that I don't think very many people realize